Hello Math Analysis students. In this video we are going to go through page 1 of the review guide for the unit on the unit circle. The image in front of you should be something that is very familiar, your unit circle. This one has all the labels for the degree values and the radian values, and it has all the terminal points. This will not be given to you on the test. You need to know everything that is in this image so that you can apply this knowledge to do well on your test. I will be referring to this image a lot during this video, but you need to make sure that you know this material before you take the test. Okay, let's begin. So we notice our first section says that it is a non-calculator section. The first 2 pages are non-calculator, and there is a section where you are allowed to use a calculator. The majority of this is non-calculator though, so make sure that you know that unit circle so you don't have to rely on calculator because you can't use one. All right, first question. The terminal point of 7 pi over 6. We're looking for the x and the y coordinates. If you know your unit circle, then you know where to find it, and you know this stuff. To get our angle, we start with our initial side here on the positive x-axis, and 7 pi over 6 is down here in the 3rd quadrant. That means that our coordinates for something in the 3rd quadrant are x is negative, y is negative, and the coordinates for anything in pi over 6 family are root 3 over 2 and 1/2. So that means our answer here is negative root 3 over 2, negative 1/2. So we would choose D. Number 2, the terminal point of negative pi. Okay, so for negative pi, again, we always start with our initial side here on the positive x-axis, but since this is negative, it means that instead of going in a counterclockwise direction, we will go in this direction. We'll go clockwise. So we're going to go around this way, and we end up here at pi, which does have the same terminal points as pi itself. So pi and negative pi are coterminal with each other. Our coordinates here are negative 1, 0. So choice C is our answer. Number 3, the sine of 5 pi over 6. Well, the sine is just asking about the y coordinate. So if we know the terminal points for 5 pi over 6, then we just need to pick out the y coordinate. Initial side on the positive x-axis. And 5 pi over 6, of course, is in the 2nd quadrant. Its coordinates are negative root 3 over 2, 1/2. And since the sine is just the y coordinate, we are just looking for that y value right there, which is 1/2. And so we would choose A. Number 4, the cosine of negative 4 pi over 3. Okay, negative 4 pi over 3. So we're starting with our initial side on the positive x-axis, and because it is a negative value, we're going to travel in a clockwise direction. 1 pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, 3 pi over 3, and 4 pi over 3. And that puts us here coterminal with 2 pi over 3. Since we are looking for the cosine value, that's the x value right here, which is negative 1/2. But that's not one of our answer choices, so we have to explore choice A and choice B a little bit. We know that the answer is negative 1/2, so that means it's not D and it's not C. But for these, the cosine of pi over 3 and the opposite of the cosine of pi over 3, we need to see which one of these has a value of negative 1/2. So let's take a look first of all. The cosine of pi over 3. I'm going to change my colors here. So if we were to look at pi over 3, we would have our initial side on the positive x-axis, and pi over 3 here. Our coordinates are 1/2 and root 3 over 2. And so the cosine value of this would be positive 1/2. That doesn't look like the answer that matches this, so I think it's going to be B. Let's check out B and make sure. B is asking us for the negative cosine of pi over 3. So that negative right there is saying whatever we're finding for our cosine of pi over 3, we're then going to take the opposite sign, S-I-G-N, sign. So we already found that the cosine of pi over 3 is 1/2, and then this negative out front tells us to make the opposite sign. So this value is now negative 1/2, which matches the cosine of negative 4 pi over 3, and so our answer would be choice B. For number 5, we're asked to find the tangent of pi over 6. And pi over 6, our initial side on the positive x-axis, pi over 6 is right here in the first quadrant, and our coordinates are root 3 over 2, 1/2. Now, I'm hoping that we remember that tangent is y over x. It's our opposite over adjacent side, so we're looking for y over x. So our y value is 1/2 over our x value of root 3 over 2. Now, I'm hoping you've done this enough that you remember the shortcut, but let's work through this math. We're dividing fractions, so we're going to keep this one, we're going to change this one, we're going to flip this to its reciprocal. Instead of root 3 over 2, it's 2 over root 3. Now, when we do this, our numerator and denominator, the 2 is exactly the same in numerator and denominator, so it can cancel out. So we have a value of 1 over the square root of 3. This is not mathematically simplified. We don't want to leave a radical in the denominator. And so we'll rationalize that denominator. Multiply top and the bottom by square root of 3. This gives us on top square root of 3, and on the bottom the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is just 3. And so our tangent value of pi over 6 is the square root of 3, positive because it's the first quadrant, which is choice C. We would choose C for number 5. Number 6, the secant of pi. Okay, well, a couple things here. We need to talk about where pi is. Here's our initial side, and our terminal side is over here. So our coordinates are -1, 0. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine, and cosine is our x. So this is 1 over cosine, which is going to be 1 over our x coordinate. Our x coordinate is -1, so 1 over -1 gives us a value of -1, and we will choose B for number 6. Number 7, the cotangent of 5 pi over 4. All right. Cotangent is the reciprocal of our tangent, which means cotangent is x over y. So we need to find our x and y coordinates for 5 pi over 4. So, all right, our initial side is here on the positive x-axis, and 5 pi over 4 is down here in the third quadrant. Our x coordinate is -root 2 over 2, and our y coordinate is -root 2 over 2. And when we're doing x over y, that is -root 2 over 2 divided by -root 2 over 2. Anything divided by itself is 1. Negative divided by negative makes a positive 1 for our tangent value. And so we would choose A for number 7. Number 8, if the cosine of theta is 1/2 for values of theta between 0 and 2 pi, then the values of theta are which of these? So the cosine is just our x coordinate. We're looking for x value of 1/2, which we know is our pi over 3 family, and where x is positive, that is going to be in quadrants 1 and quadrants 4. So that is going to give us the angles that have a cosine value of positive 1/2. X value of positive 1/2, that's pi over 3. And down here, 5 pi over 3. And so our answer are pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3, which is choice A for number 8. Number 9, if the sine of theta is -root 2 over 2, then what is the value of theta? Okay, sine is just our y coordinate. So we're looking for y coordinate being -root 2 over 2. This is our pi over 4 family, and where sine is negative is in the bottom half of our graph. So we're looking at quadrants 3 and quadrants 4, which means that our angles are going to be 5 pi over 4 with a y value of -root 2 over 2, and 7 pi over 4 with a y value of -root 2 over 2. So 5 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4, which is choice D. Okay, now for number 10, we're looking for if cosine of theta is 0 for values of theta between 0 and 2 pi, then what is theta? Remember that our cosine is our x value. So we're looking for what angles have an x value of 0. Now that's not any of our pi over 3, pi over 4, or pi over 6 families, but that is our quadrantal angles here. X value of 0, there's 2 of them, pi over 2, and 3 pi over 2. which means our answer would be pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. Choice C. For number 11, we're given the cosecant of theta equals 2. Now, cosecant is one of our reciprocal functions, so let's explore that for just a moment. If the cosecant of theta is 2, okay, cosecant is the same thing as the reciprocal of sine, or 1 over sine. 2, we could write that as a fraction as 2 over 1. So this statement's true. 1 over the sine is equal to 2 over 1. Then we can look at the reciprocals, and they will be true also. The reciprocal of 1 over sine is, of course, going to be sine. The reciprocal of 2 over 1 is 1/2. So we're really looking for angles where the sine value is 1/2. Now the sine value 1/2, that means, of course, that we're looking at our pi over 6 family. And if the sine or the y value is positive, then that means that we are looking in quadrants 1 and quadrant 2. And so we would get our value of pi over 6 has a sine value of 1/2. And also 5 pi over 6 has a sine value of 1/2. And so that would be choice B, number 11. For number 12, if tangent theta equals 0 for values of theta between 0 and 2 pi, then theta equals what? So tangent is y over x. So if we're looking for y over x equals 0, then that means that our numerator is equal to 0, which means that we're looking for a y value of 0. So what angles have a y value of 0? And that's not in our pi over 3, pi over 4, or pi over 6 families, but the ones that have a y value of 0 are, of course, right here, 0 and pi. And so our answer would be 0 and pi, which is choice A. That's the end of page 1. The other 2 pages will be in separate videos.